Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Blitz podcast because Lem and I have not figured out the title of what this will be yet. But yeah,
We're working on it.
joining us here is Lem, here from Greece. How's Greece going, Lem?
Greece is good. I do miss my Blitz compatriots, but it is important to see family and get some time off from the day-to-day life. So it's a great time here. I can elaborate more later on, but it's just overall really nice.
Yeah, I seen some of those photos that you shared with us. A lot of it being in the water. Have you been out on your fancy boat cruising around the islands?
So we don't have a fancy boat. We rented a boat one day, but we are on an island. It's a pretty small island in general. But every day, like it's super hot. The only way you can really cool down is like to go to the beach. So every day we're really going to the beach, going to different beaches. Um, get in the water. They'll have like beach bars where you can get drinks and food and stuff. Bring them to the little benches that you sit on and stuff like that. But yeah, it's just really nice, and like there's a bunch of my little cousins and stuff running around, and nieces and nephews. It's overall a good time. But yeah, it's very water driven vacation.
Nice. Any particular food? Because I'm a foodie, obviously. Any particular foods that you had that really stands out and nothing compares like it, like home?
So I could probably go on like spend an entire like half hour like episode just talking about the food here, like whether it's the island or Greece in general or like European food, just food outside of the US. But the food here is like just it's like totally different. So most of the fruits and veggies are like grown here. So they're super fresh. They're actually ripened like with like minimal chemicals and stuff like that. Um, so they're ripened here. You pluck them. You have them within like a week of plucking them. They're just way fresher. They taste like what they should. A lot of people in the U.S. probably know that like a tomato basically tastes like nothing. Apples kind of taste like nothing sometimes, but over here it's not like that at all. So that's a quick summary for like fruits and vegetables. Now the island itself has like a shit ton of like local cheeses and like homemade cheeses. Every restaurant kind of like makes their own kind of stuff. Um, so it's like hard cheeses, soft cheeses, and they just taste completely different than most like regular stuff like cheddar or even like mozzarella. Totally different. And then the last thing that's important are the meats because they are like fed on the ground over here. They're not in like giant factories or anything like that. Like the meat tastes totally different. Like chicken in the US versus a chicken on this island, like night and day. It doesn't even taste like the same animal. So just everything overall tastes fresher, better, and it all just it's totally different.
Damn, I am jealous because I really am curious because I don't think I've had uh, those, like you say, those more natural freshness of the meat or the produce. I'd love to try it someday, and maybe you'll see me in Greece someday. Um, am I
Hope
mis
so.
am I mistaken, Lem? But did I see a picture of a Greek Coke that you may have taken in your pictures?
Maybe there's probably a Greek Coke somewhere in one of those pictures.
Okay, sorry, I know it's random. I just brought it up because I'm currently sipping on a Coke, and I wanted to ask if there's if there's also another difference between your Greek Coke versus the North American Coke.
So Greek Coke versus like American Coke, it's not really just like Greek versus American. I think every country kind of has their own Coke, and like Mexican Coke versus American Coke, even Canadian Coke probably is different. But some areas you will use sugar versus corn syrup. Obviously, America uses a lot of corn syrup, so that's one difference. And then the type of water that they use, like the water quality and like the I don't know maybe the pH of it. I don't know. But like the differences in water also make the Coke taste different too. So the Greek Coke tastes different. I would say it's better than American Coke, but I don't know if it's better than like Mexican Coke. But if you have Coke in like France or something, that'll still taste different too.
Mm, interesting. Makes me want to
Yes,
go on a quest to try Coke from every country now. Um,
it'd be fun.
it would be. All right, cool, Lem. And as you guys probably heard, there was this very iconic and very familiar laugh in amongst the community. Here with us also is our guest, Blue Squid. Squid,
Welcome,
What's,
Squid.
want to say
what's up?
how you feeling, Squid? Fresh after a playoff win last night.
Yeah, it was my first playoff game. Being Ben Simmons Rookie of the Year candidate, and it was nice. It feels good to win for sure.
Yeah, well, I was there in that game. Lem, did you get a chance to see the game? What were your thoughts on the game, and did you want to start things off with any particular questions for our guest here?
Unfortunately, I did not get to watch the game. I was sleeping all day long. I don't know why, but I didn't. I've had like 4 hours of free time, which I've gone out to eat, and that's it.
No problem. All right. So, well, we thank you for taking the time to do this right now, Lem, anyways, and Squid. So, I guess I will ask Squid some questions then about the game. Squid, so you only played the first half. You started the game. I know that that's your preference. How did it feel during that game? Like, did you have any nerves or any doubts going into that game? And overall, how do you think you played last night?
I think overall I didn't have really any kind of nerves. Like on defense, I know Finn and Wayne are going to cover well. I just gotta spy at certain points, blitz at certain points. Wayne called some really good defenses. Finn did too, where we got some sacks. Personally, I early hike dropped a 2 point conversion. Nobody knows that. But my team knows, but just watching the replay, you wouldn't know. But yeah, definitely, I messed that up. But I was able to get a that post touchdown that I was happy about because it was like a millisecond, like based off reflex, that quick hitch up that Irv actually caught. Um, Not surprised, but yeah, I think it was cool. I think it said I only had like 5 receptions or something like that.
Hmm.
But honestly, I think in the first half, I'd rather it heavily favor Wayne or just whatever Finn is feeling. I don't really mind as long as we win and we get a good lead coming into the second half.
Very different mentality versus our fellow teammate in talks. But yes, so what Squid said, Lem, since you haven't watched the game, on one of his post up touchdowns, it was actually like an unbelievable catch. I was actually quite surprised it was a catch because it had one of those spawns where it favored the offensive player, and Money was really the one that was, in my opinion, closest to it. But Squid did make a little move back a little bit, and I don't know if his range helped him. But yeah, that was a very nice catch, and I think in the game, Finn and I were both like, "Oh my goodness, wow!" It just felt like after we saw that touchdown, it just felt like we were. I think that was the second touchdown of the game, and so
Mhm.
once that happened, it was 16-0, and then I think both Finn and I would probably attest to like it just felt like we're on all cylinders now because if Squid was able to catch that, then there's no stopping us that game.
Yeah. So, quick question, because I haven't seen it. Squid, did you boost during the catch?
No, no, I didn't. I
Okay,
already
because I
had
think there's
boosted
some.
to get there because it was covered. It was covered.
Gotcha. Because I've noticed sometimes that it seems like sometimes, like in a tight catching scenario, sometimes the game gives preference to the player that boosted.
Oh yeah, I
So,
am a boost catcher for sure though. I am a boost catcher. And let's not forget that Finn accidentally iconed me when Wayne was wide open and he threw it into double coverage, and I bailed us out
classic.
of that in. And so, for those watching the replay and the video, that was completely unintentional and then
Yeah,
completely on reflex where Wayne was like squid.
yeah.
That's basically the play.
That's funny
So
because that's a good reminder
oh, go
because
ahead, go ahead.
that's a good reminder because although I just said that I felt like we were on all cylinders after that post touchdown catch. This was like the first or second pass play of the game, I think, that Squid is talking about. And if Wick was pretty much in prime position to intercept that, but I think because Wick was on the spawn, it went down a little bit to Squid, and that's why it was a catch. So if Wick was actually able to intercept that, maybe the game would have been much
Yeah,
different,
for sure.
if they were able to get the ball back at that moment in the game.
Nice.
Yeah.
Um, so I had a question. Even though I didn't watch the game, I did hear some summaries in that. Um, I think Finn's World had three scores unanswered in the first half. That was with Squid playing in the first half, and then I'm assuming Intox came in the second half, and then they had three scores, and uh, sorry, Monopoly Men had three scores, and then Finn's World had two scores in the second half. So
Correct.
obviously a
Mhm.
different dynamic. Do you think that was just because Finn's World you guys let off the brakes, or do you think it's because Intox is just subpar compared to Squid?
I don't think so I think it's a combination of things. Like, well, first of all, in the first half, Wayne let up two wide open posts. Money just didn't convert. So it should have been 22-14.
Lem, this guy's calling me out. God damn.
so so the
Well, you never
second
covered a
half,
post in your life, Wayne.
It's true. It's true.
it was a fade. It was a fade route, both to pop gun. The other times in the second half, Intox doesn't really spy that much, so they got two touchdowns down the middle, because of that.
Gotcha.
So that's what happened defensively. Offensively, Finn likes to do these really, like, whenever he's fucking around, he does these really long ass plays, and he scrambling sometimes is not the best, but sometimes it is really good. And he'll just get sacked before he can get it off. And there won't be any quick improv or anything like that. Or sometimes when things are covered, the improv is a lot less coordinated sometimes. And then Finn has to scramble even more. And he was just getting sacked a lot in the second half, whereas Poppin in the first half I don't think got any sacks, if I'm
Oh,
not
interesting.
mistakenly.
Yeah, no, it really felt like Popcorn turned on another gear in the second half because yeah, all those sacks that he racked up, I'm almost certain it was all of them or at least five
Yeah,
of the six of that he got came in the second half, and two of them were on fourth downs. Like, how many fourth down sacks have you
yeah,
seen quarterbacks take this season? Right? I don't think too many.
Yeah.
yeah.
And yeah, Popcorn got two last night, when the game
Hmm.
where, obviously if they went down big in the first half, but it's the second half they really crawled their way into making it a little bit more, more of a game actually.
Yeah,
Impressive. But at least a game like this, like you guys got a decent lead in the first half. Intox, like Squid was saying, might have opportunity to improve with spying in the middle, especially in the red zone. But either way, you guys had a decent enough cushion to kind of take it a little easier in the second half.
Yeah, we were
yeah,
very fortunate to
yeah.
get off to a
Momentum's a
head
real
start.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think when we're up 22-0, it really demoralized them, and we held the ball the last 2-3 minutes of the game. I think we had possession of the first half, and so when it got into the second half, and they were able to get something off or see a play, you could really see the momentum shift offensive and defensively. And Money was able to, I think Money gets in his own head a lot. And once they were able to get into that rhythm, he started playing a lot better as well. So,
Yeah, speaking of money, I know, he takes that loss a little bit too hard on himself, but that's what a competitor does. He hates losing more than anything, like some of us. Is would there during that game last night, Squid, and you seen him play all week, kind of practicing a little, well,
hmm
quote unquote, saw him play last week.
yeah, yeah.
what happened? What do you think happened with Money last night? Because obviously, I don't think that was his best game at all. He did play. He has been getting better, each and every week. Just unfortunately, last night, they had the right game plan, as his teammates alluded to last night. They had the right plays that clearly worked against me, but it all came down to
Mhm.
execution. So, you know,
Right.
A, why do you think that happened? And B, um, what adjustments do you think Money could have made maybe last night to um, get that team rolling again?
For sure. Well, as a up and coming QB, as both of you know, what's that? One of my suggestions and what I saw was that Money. He's just he has a lot of nerves. His play calls are really like they were working. Like he was getting up the field. It's just in times where I feel like there's a score or something's open, he doesn't get it. And so what I've done was like for certain routes, as long as you scramble within a certain zone upon the catch, if you throw after a certain amount of seconds, depending on the yardage, it'll always be like a PP. So if during those times where he's really nervous, I mean he could just count to six, or count to seven upon touching the ball, with the clock on the top, and it'll just be a PP, and he doesn't need to worry so much about it. So, I mean, those are things that I feel like he can do because I don't think there's anything wrong with his play calling. He was scrambling really well in the second half. I think Intox got 4 sacks,
You got five.
um, or 5 sacks. Um, so yeah, I don't think. Yeah, I think those are my offhand critiques.
Yeah, I would agree with you. He had the right game plan. Maybe try PP or make those reads slightly quicker. Something
Hmm.
else that I had a conversation with him last night as well, and I think, calling up plays is one thing, but the second part to the quarterback calls is you need to also design the leers. Sometimes when you have the
Yeah,
right teammates, you don't need to necessarily call those leers. But
yeah,
I was telling Money that what kind of allowed me to cheat a little bit more, and this was all part of his game plan too. So like it was kind of like a chess between him and I. But he would I mean, sorry, he will call a play, and I think Pop Gun for more often than not is slanted down to my zone. And if I see a guy slanting down my zone all the time,
yeah.
I'm not gonna think it's always a slant. So I'm gonna cheat as many times as I could.
Hmm.
And so, yeah, I was telling Money that maybe, when he has plays for Wick, maybe switch up, like call design lyrics for Popgun because we all know Popgun doesn't play as active as some of us, so he may not know all the lyrics or at
Right.
least know to
Yeah.
switch it up. So, if he was more like, I think there was one play where I think Popgun did like a 15-yard 90 up when it was like a post down for Wick, right? So rather than do the 15-yard, maybe
Mm.
to do like a 7 to 10-yard 90 up, right?
Right.
And those are the
Yeah.
small things that I think would have maybe helped them on their route running and play calls as well.
Yeah. No, I agree. I agree. I think so much of the time it does come down to those little things like by the volume in which everybody plays, pretty much anybody can run a route, anybody can tackle, anybody can do whatever. Well, not everybody can tackle, obviously, but everybody knows how to play the game. Like it's just those little things I think that makes someone in a the Jameson or proper 12 tier, So
So, Len, overall, it was obviously this is the end of the road for the Monopoly Man. Anything you want to say on what you thought about their season? Anything about any of their particular plays? Maybe the nominee for Offensive Player of the Year in Wick.
So I think my announcements throughout the season basically highlighted kind of how felt about the Monopoly men. They kept getting better like every single game. They kept improving even with different lineups. Money kept improving as a quarterback. So he's just got to keep that up and go into next season. I'm not sure exactly what his plan is, but like rest assured, like he's done like a great job improving himself and captaining his team. Um, like Squid was saying, kind of he needs to in the red zone, just kind of like bite the bullet and like chuck it up here and there, and get more aggressive in the red zone. His play designs are really unique and good. Um, one place of improvement, I feel like he can maybe set up his plays or think about his plays a little bit more in advance because sometimes they get really close to delay of games, which can hamper an offense. But overall, like he's done a great job from beginning to end, and super proud of him and his team. And for Wick, he's obviously like the top of the proper 12 catchers. Um, he's in the offensive player of the year running. He might not necessarily have the toppest the top tier stats, but he is arguably top two wide receivers in this league.
That's right.
That's facts. That's facts.
All right. So let's final note on the Monopoly Man. Great season. Keep your heads up. That was a well fought game. What a way to crawl your back into that game. Um, and oh, right. The last thing I wanted to leave things off here was in the post game interview with Money, he talked about how stressful that season was as being the captain
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
um, being the quarterback, and also like being accountable for his team's success, right? Lem, you jumped into quarterback last season, you know, and you took your shot at it, and I'm guessing you had similar experiences, right? So my question to you, Lem, is did you feel that same level of stress and accountability when you were quarterbacking last season? And playing running back and not and being in a non-captain role this season, did you feel like a sense of relief not having to carry some of that responsibility this season?
Oh yeah, definitely. So for like being one, there's a couple things. One, being a QB, um, and especially like with your in a league setting and a competitive setting, um, it feels like the kind of weight of the world is on your shoulders. There's a lot of pressure for you to do the right thing, change things up, do stuff successfully. Like you're trying to manage like all the different things that a QB needs to do, whether it's like different play calls, reading the defense, trying to see what the defense is doing over the game, scrambling, making sure your scrambling isn't that repetitive. It's a lot of stuff you need to manage, and I think a tier more difficult than playing receiver or running back. So that itself is extremely difficult, and then it's also that difficulty also gets compounded when you have different teammates. So I know he's had, I think he had Kurt early on in the season. He had Krusty and
Hmm.
Popgun. Um, so it's hard to build that of QBing is really chemistry. It's not just like player capability. Um, so there's definitely like a lot of factors that go into being a successful QB, especially over the course of a season. And then being a captain, it's a different type of management because you still need to like practice with your team, try to like put up a good attitude with your team because I think it can be pretty, especially if you're 0-7 and winless. Trying to keep everyone motivated is it can be a difficult thing. I only had one win last season as a captain, um, but yeah, it's a hard managerial thing. Just kind of like managing people is just a tough thing in person, in real life, and a job, even in a competitive gaming setting.
Yeah, I agree. Where I give a lot of credit to money trying to make things work, right? Like there was some a league gossip about should Pop gonna have started over Krusty and etc. I don't think Krusty was available last night at all. If he was available, I think he might have got at least one half. Um, But no, Popcorn has improved for much of the season, and respect shout out to Money First being loyal and sticking with the team that he started the season with and he finished the season with. So like you said, being winless 0-7 throughout a season, more likely than not, teams will blow up, and they held it together. And their post game interview really summarizes that camaraderie that they had together because no one really threw shade at one another like you will see in most teams, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, agreed. I mean, we also have some evidence that that they have good vibes because Wick was one of the nominees for top vibes guy for voting.
That's right. All right, so yeah, what a way to go out, Monopoly Man. You guys got better each and every week. Like I mentioned earlier today, you guys were the fan favorite most likely, and you know, despite us being your opponents, or at least I was your opponent, I was still hoping that you guys will play well, and you guys didn't disappoint. I know the score may not have felt like it at all the times, but you guys crawled back up and turned into a 14-point game and won the second half. So good job to you guys. Looking ahead, tomorrow night will be your game, Lem. Not sure if you'll be playing or not, obviously, since you're in Greece. We'll see how things shake up. But the game between the Huevos Picantes and the Phoenix D Squid, just since you're our guest and you just had your first postseason win, what's your thoughts on that matchup? And if you had to choose, which team do you think is gonna come out on top tomorrow?
Who's playing tomorrow?
The Spicy Eggs and the Phoenix D.
Who's is Tony QB?
No,
QB?
it's likely going to be Smith QB, and I think on the Phoenix D side, I'm not 100% sure, but I think it's Jeff.
Oh, so Rar's not gonna QB?
I think he'll be the running back, but again, I don't know for a fact. This is just my guess.
Okay, dang. I thought Tony was gonna because I thought he was gonna give Smith some more opportunity to get the rust off.
I mean, if Lem
But
wants to give us an insight, but I would say Smith is the QB, but 100% he's going to QB.
well, yeah, I think yeah, he's more rusty in the other positions. And Lem's not playing for sure, right? Because you're still on Greece internet.
Uh, Not undetermined.
Well, if Lem plays, that's a big difference. Just how much,
Feel free to make
there's
your
so many
assumptions.
variables.
Yeah, feel
I
free to make
can't
your assumptions.
Lem playing, Rar QBing, Smith Q. Like, there's so many.
All right, I'll make it easier for you, Squid. Let's just assume that it will really be Phoenix D will be Jeff QB, CJ wide receiver, and Dan will be the running back. And then on the
Um,
other side, you'll have the Smith QB. Um, let's put Tony at wide receiver, and then running back would be, maybe one half MA, one half Lem, because we don't know.
um, eh, it's a tough one. Like, it depend. It really depends on how well Smith is feeling. I feel like if Smith was like 100% rust off, which um, I think that most of the issues that they've been having is like their offense is great. It's just defensively they've been struggling because Smith is still getting back into it. So as it stands, I might give the slight edge to Phoenix D, but I mean Smith is just the X factor, man. Like if Smith was back, like like I would give it to Huevos Picante.
Okay. Um, I would. I don't know who I would choose actually, but I will say my X factor though will be Len because this is Mr. Running candidate for Defensive Player of the Year. He was also a candidate last season. Could have won last season actually.
Yeah,
So I think Lem will be the X factor, if he is able to play or not. But even if Lem doesn't, MA stepping in, filling in that blitzing role, I think he'll do a good job. It'll just come down to, offense. Offense, can they find the holes when they need to for those icon passes? Because Smith, may call these exotic plays, and sometimes they work, but when they don't, you need to have a backup option.
yeah,
So,
that's true.
will MA be able to spot those holes is TBD, right?
Yeah,
Um, but we make this joke all the time where Lem's offense is questionable, and so maybe MA could
Rude.
maybe do even better than Lem offensively. Um,
Uh,
Lem, did you want to add anything to our predictions here?
no, I think I'm agreeing with most of your sentiments. I love my team, regardless, regardless of what lineups we decide to go with, or whatever we're even capable of going with.
Hmm.
Um, I'm rooting for us all the way. Um, I think I want to correct Squid on one thing, though. I think our defense in general has been better. It's our offense that has been suspect throughout the season, and even when Smith came back because of his rust. We had like I think it was 4 or 5 opportunities to take field goals in our game against the Spiders, and we just didn't. So had we gone for all of those, it would have been a totally different game.
that's true. Smith's
And Smith
kicking,
would have,
yeah,
yeah, Smith would have learned the differences in kicking and stuff.
that's true.
But yeah, so I think I agree with most of your stuff. I just wanted to clarify that.
You know, I think one thing that we haven't really asked ourselves is, will we see Kite play tomorrow? Because he did play really well to start the season for them before he went on vacation. So it will be interesting. Does he get a half or does he get zero halves tomorrow if Dan's playing the running back position or quarterback? I don't know either. Maybe Jeff throws a wild card on us and decides to bench himself for Dan and Kite. Um,
Yeah,
but
we'll see. I don't even know if Kite's back though.
yeah, I'm not sure either.
Hopefully, he didn't get conscripted into the Russian army.
He said he was gonna be back. I think he just got back.
Oh, okay, okay.
He said it in the because he said Curtis was ducking him. Yeah, he's on the flight home.
Yeah. Oh, okay, gotcha. So he'll be rusty.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. I don't know if they're gonna play him, but yeah, I got a couple of topics I want to talk about as well after we finish up.
Sorry, what was that, Squid?
Oh, I said I had a couple of topics I want to bring up now that we're talking
Yeah, bring it
that I
up.
want to bring
Uh,
up.
the last segment is really just us doing the what if question. So if it's not a what if question, then here's your chance. Go for it.
So there's two things I wanted to bring up. They're more statements and topics than questions.
Sounds
Um,
spicy. Let's hear
it is spicy. So
it.
the first thing I think is the good and bad of stats. So I think the good thing about stats is it keeps everybody very engaged and everyone is kind of striving for something. And I think I forgot who I was talking about it before, but Blitz is very different than Melee, like one on one, because you can't play someone one on one in Blitz. Like in Melee, like how we would do it is if you're talking shit, we'll just one on one, and then whoever wins like a best of five or whatever is better. But Blitz is so different. So like stats is a way to kind of get that individual accolade that I feel like was hard to define. Because I think personally, there are a lot of people that don't have a good understanding of which player is truly better than the other, which makes things very exciting. So that's about stats. That's just all I wanted to say. The good and the bad of stats. You guys thoughts?
I think it's kind of like regular, like real football. Like it's a 11 on 11 game, and you're not going to necessarily know how good someone is until you play like a couple seasons against a bunch of different looks, different people. Because like you
Mm-hmm.
never have the same wide receiver going against the same cornerback. You're never gonna have like you don't always have a 4-3 defense going against the running back to stuff the run. You might have a 3-4, so that changes how a team might run. So I think the stats help portray as best of a picture as you can for someone's capability for what we're like able to do. Um, so I think the stats do a good enough job for that.
Yeah, and just to add on to what Lem's saying, I also come from the same mindset where blitz and football in real life football is a team sport game. There's not many sports out there um, that is a team environment that is truly like like based off the team's performance, right? Like if I'm the quarterback in real life or in the blitz game, if I throw you a pass, if it's early, late, accurate, not accurate, those are all variables to the game. Or if or the receiver, makes an unbelievable catch, pulls what's that guy's name? David Tyree, the Giants guy from the Super Bowl, right? Like those are just unbelievable plays by individual players. But football in general is a very much a team oriented game, and so when it comes to blitz, I see it the same way, where it's a team effort. It's a collective effort. Yeah, some certain individuals can make uh, tilt the game in their balance or make game changing plays, but that's the beauty of the game, right? And yeah, I think stats are just there for fun, there to just kind of like, you know, measure your success a little bit, but at the end of the day, they're just stats, right? And it's like, some of us just care about the win. So that's how I view it. It's a team game, and yeah, if one player could take over the whole game, would love to see it.
Yeah, I'm saying stats are overall good for the community, but I think there's a how I say it's I think some people are using it to justify that they're better than other players, which I don't agree with. But I think stats overall are good for engaging the community and showing accolades and stuff like that.
A part of me want
So I agree with everything all that you were saying.
a part of me wants you to ask you, is there any particular players you want to call out from this?
I'm just saying it because there was the whole offensive player of the year thing with CJ and stuff like that,
Yeah.
and I think at one point I got into an argument with him, and I completely agree that like CJ should get it because it's a stats based. Like, how else are you gonna vote objectively? You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? Like, you could be like, oh, impact on the game, but even that is so. If everything is so close together, the situations are kind of close. You have to go off the stats. Like, you can't be like, all right, well, CJ is clearly better or whatever, whatever. So,
Yeah, I think
um,
yeah, I think I agree with you overall. I think it's just like the stats can be like the kind of tiebreaker, and at least in the way I was looking at award voting, is that it's kind of like what you see on film, the feel that you get from that, and compare that with their stats too. I think you have to like look at both. If you don't play with players, you don't watch their
yeah,
games or tape, then you can only go off of stats.
right.
So like stats only paint like part of the picture unless you have stats across multiple seasons, multiple QBs, etc., multiple defenses,
Yeah,
whatever. So I think like probably need more time to actually see if the stats showcase people's abilities. But yeah, I think it's got to be like a mixture of stats
yeah.
and
That's
tape.
I agree with that. Like, people that play pubs all the time, like me, like I play with everyone literally all the time. And I know that even if this person doesn't fill up the stat sheet, like they're still a very good player, when it comes down to it. And I think the argument that I got in was like, I was talking about like, oh, so you, I was like, oh, so you gonna say you're better than like Wayne, for example? And he's like, Wayne's very efficient, blah blah blah, but he's not, he didn't put up my numbers type thing. I was like, come on, bro, what are we doing here? Like, you gonna tell me like And then I was saying like, like Wayne was like, well, he said Wayne was like Austin somebody, some football player. I don't know because I
It's a
don't
San
really watch
Diego guy.
football.
I don't know his last name. Eckler. I think it's Austin Eckler.
Yeah, yeah. He was like, oh yeah, he's really efficient. I'm like, he didn't know fucking Austin Eckler. I don't even know who the fuck that was. So I was like, he's more like a LeBron or something. And he's like, no, no, no. He's like, nobody's LeBron in this league. And I was like, you know, and it's like, we all got our opinions, but I'm not gonna sit here and be like, because I was like, our team was like, we really wanted Intox to win Rookie of the Year, and I was like, if Finn had just given Wayne all those targets, then his stats would be up there too. And so that was the argument that I was making, but he was trying to say like, oh no, he's like Austin Eckler, whatever. Um, and I think at that point everybody was tilting CJ so much, so I'm not gonna fault him for it because people were giving him a lot of shit, mostly like Prism, Tony, and although I think Tony flipped. Um, so yeah, I can forgive that, but I think that's kind of like the the other side of the stats thing that I was talking about.
Hey, Kamish. I think we need to add a new award for Teammate of the Year. I know who I'm voting for.
Oh, for sure.
Uh,
Fortunately, we're past the point of the round one voting.
yeah, yeah, yeah. No, that's interesting. It sounds like I missed out on this conversation, but it sounds like a fun conversation y'all had. Um, but yeah, I appreciate it, Squid, and yeah, we'll see how the awards shake up. CJ is a great player. Going off of what Lem last said about like multiple seasons and multiple QBs. It's interesting because CJ did have play with three different QBs in Irv, Jeff, and Dan this season, and then Wick played with Dan and Money this season, and Wick put up monstrous numbers both last season and this season. And
Right,
CJ, within a season, three quarterbacks put up impressive numbers as well. So I think
right,
if next season is 7 games, it'll be more something to go off of since we'll be able to actually have a 7 to 7 game season comparison. But we don't know what next season is looking like yet. But that's our only benchmark so far. So yeah, we'll see how the awards shake up, and impressive uh, receiver campaigns from all the candidates. But yeah, I think Squid, you mentioned that you had several topics, and I'm more than welcome to entertain these different topics. So did you have another one?
right. I think it was just tied to the first one. It was like
Okay.
um, people's. I think because everybody here's played for so long, mostly, um, and everybody's bringing in their own biases. I think of how good people are. But I think playing in pubs a lot and watching all the league games, you can kind of tell. But it seems like there was a disconnect between, what was going on in reality. And there's people using stats to justify it. There's people using whatever to justify it. But I was just talking about that. But I would, and I don't mean to take away from CJ. He definitely deserves to be a what's it called, a Jameson player at least, right, Len?
Yeah, yeah.
So you know, so that's all I was saying, you know. But yeah, that's why I made that the special weighted formula for drafting,
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, I
So
think I might have missed that.
No, this is Squid talking about his when he was captain earlier in the season when he was going through the auction draft and his algorithms
Oh,
and how he was really going to he had like a draft board basically, and he does this for fantasy. I think no, sorry, not fantasy, but like you had something going on, right, Squid? Like you
yeah,
had
it's
like
for the attorneys that we were playing. That's when I was going on that run, that little run.
yeah,
Um,
it's got an algorithm. Lem, watch out,
oh,
Lem
scared.
GPT. or Squid GPT.
That's funny.
All right. So guys, we are currently at the 45-minute mark, and Lem is out there in Greece. Lem, is it like what 2 a.m. On your side, or what time is it?
It is 2:30 a.m.
All right, so I know you got like somewhere to go maybe, or you want to go out. So, Lem, let's wrap things up with the what if questions. Did you have any questions? You could point maybe in effort of time. Maybe you could, if you do have a question, maybe hit like mention if you want Squid to answer or myself or both. But
Oh no, no, no.
yeah,
So I'm good on go. Like I'm probably not going out tonight anymore. So I got time, and it's not really late for Greece either. Like people go to bed at like 2, 3, 4 in general, and during summertime, usually people just BSing throughout the night. But I do have some questions. Let me just pull up what I put together.
sure. And Squid,
All
feel free
right.
to think about any questions you may have for us as well, spicy or not. But it sounds like you're a spicy one, so we're ready for you too, Squid.
All right. So speaking of spice, this question could be towards either of you, but Wayne might be closer to it. I don't think we talked about this last. I don't know how much we talked about it last time, but we had obviously our drama early on in the season. We had Priz and Rar and their kerfuffle that started from season one.
hmm
So I think this is a great, and stop me if I've already asked something like this from last week. This is going to be a multi-tiered question. One, if Prism was banned, it wasn't allowed to play, and the rest of TTT did not drop out because Prism was banned, how would their season have fared? Because it looked like they'd be pretty successful, even with the other teammates that they had. So whoever wants to answer, feel free to go for an answer. If it's already asked, then we can also ignore this.
It was not asked, but Squid, do you want to answer or you want to defer?
so you're saying that TTT dropped out? How
No,
would
he's saying if Prism was banned and TTT was still in part of the league, meaning Ducks, Ocho, Cutler, Sin, and whoever else might be part of that team, if they would still play on this season without Prism,
like if they would do well?
whether they'll do
Yeah,
well
how do
or
you think they
not.
would have done?
I think they could have been a 500 team, but maybe a little bit better because Ocho's QB has got a little bit better. But that's why I think they'd be around. Like I think we all know how good Prism is at the end of the day, but I think Ocho could pull off a 500 better season.
Um,
Interesting. Wayne, anything from you?
yeah, I think they will be a below 500 team, and this is now no knock on any of them. They're all great players, but sorry, not the glue, because I think Dux is truly the glue of this team. But the potential of this team is Prism. Whether
Yeah,
I know Finn's World lost to both times the TTT without Prism QBing. It was Cutler and Ocho, but in both games, I'll have to look back at the stats, but I'm sure Prism in his running back role for both of those games put his mark on the game, right? I know,
yeah,
I would, although I was not part of the voice channel, I can almost guarantee that Prism was helping Cutler, you know, make certain play decisions, whether it was a good decision or not, if it was the right play to go execute or not, and also just getting those easy first downs. So, we all know Cutler, may not always go deep all the time. So when he goes short, behind before the first down. But if Prism is picking up those first downs, they're moving the chains and avoiding third and fourth and longs for Cutler, right? And that helps tremendously if you're the running back. And then on Ocho's game, uh, I think I think it was just again the same thing, picking up the first downs. I don't. I think Ocho called the plays for sure in that game. But it was just Prism, just being Prism, right? And he showed how effective he is, and that's why he's in the running for MVP of the season. Um,
Don't forget his defensive performances.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. For the
yeah.
only guy with the pick six, I think he had one game where he had what multiple big interception games. Um, and yeah, so anyways, to answer your question, then I think they would be below 500 team. Uh, I think they would still, be competitive. I don't think anyone will blow them out, but I think what gets them over the hump and get them the wins is really Prism, and yeah, I think that's how their season was shaped up. I think they would be probably could have been actually maybe like I wouldn't know who would have the better record between Monopoly Men and them, but I think they would be in that same tier of level. And we all said earlier that money was just improving, right? So would TTT blow up? You know how we talked
That's
about how we talked about teams not blowing up
Yeah,
when facing
yeah.
adversity. They could have been a team that blown up.
They cut
but you
Cutler
never know.
Yeah,
in the middle of the season
yeah,
already,
yeah.
so they
True.
wouldn't. He probably wouldn't even be there. So yeah,
Like, all right. Well, either way, Prism is obviously a force to be reckoned with, whether he is chirping on the Discord or he's blitzing. Um,
yeah.
and now, speaking of the other side of the coin with Dan, so Dan obviously took most of the first half of the season off. What if he had played the majority of the season? And in this scenario, I guess we could say the whatever the what was it, the blue young squids or whatever,
Yeah,
stuck
what
stuck together and had Dan, Squid, and I don't even know who was on your team
Jeff
anymore.
Irish.
Jeff.
Jeff, Irish. So how do you think that
Well,
team would have shaken out in the grand scheme of things?
so here's what I'll say. Like, I do really like Dan as a quarterback. I think if he has players that are used to playing with him, he's like very good, obviously, and he's very good on defense. I was actually going to draft Ocho as well because we had just won the Spring Fever tournament, but our team almost imploded two times on two separate occasions during each game. So I was like, this team would not even make it past like 3 games probably, even though we would be very good, in my opinion. But and even at the same time, if Young had never developed, if he had never been thrown into the fire like that, I don't know if he would have made this jump that he has made, that he was forced to have made. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Um, and the other thing is that in our game where Prism and them dropped 60 or whatever, 50 something on us, Jeff was covering for Irish because Irish was so rusty, he didn't know how to play coverage. Um, and that's why we always had to let up either short or short all the time. And when Jeff was beat deep, we were just cooked because if you look at the replay, Irish was like not covering anything. Not to say that he wasn't good at one point, but he was just very rusty. Um, and so if all that trauma didn't happen to Jeff, he would not be the like. In my opinion, he went because early Jeff was rough. I just believed in the potential, but early Jeff was that was hard. That was tough.
Yeah, I think Jeff kind of came back. He enjoys playing with us. He wanted to do a certain play style that he used to do back then. I think the current meta doesn't really allow for him to do his old play style. So he's had to adapt. Like you said, he got thrown in the ringer. He got kind of baptism by fire, and he needed to figure something out quickly to make it work. I think he's done that. He's improved a lot. But I think Jeff, since he's come back to the new community, he's kind of been in like GM mode. He like would rather be a GM than a full on like player. Um, so we'll see what he likes to do in the future. But he's definitely improved a lot. Um,
And and here's what I'll
yeah,
say too. Like if we had Jeff, current Jeff with me and Rod, that'd be a good team. If we have me, Dan, and Ocho, that'd be a good team. But the thing is with with Jeff is if he makes a mistake, Dad's gonna kill him in the middle of the game. We're all just gonna sit there and
Uh,
he's just gonna kill
it's so
him.
funny.
And it happened. It happened before, bro. And then it worries me because I know when Dan gets tilted, he gets like off his game. So, but when he's not, he's very good.
It's so
And
funny. It's so funny you mentioned it because just the other day we were just playing a pub game, and Dan was QB and Jeff was a receiver. I don't remember running back or receiver or not. And that exact same thing happened when I
I
remember.
think I was in that game.
Yeah,
I
I
think I
remember. I remember Dad just saying like, "Gosh, Jeff, like you're. I don't understand. You've been playing this game for as long as some of us. Like, how the hell do you not know how to run routes and stuff?" And he's like,
yeah.
"It's so
I think
frustrating."
they had a good ass team too. I think it was like him and Tony and Jeff, or him, Chris, Jeff, and they lost or something. I forgot what it was. But yeah, I do remember that. I remember.
Yeah, but yeah, I think that would have been an interesting team. Maybe it would have been one of those teams that, like, if they face of adversity, could they stay together or would they blow up? Um, and Jeff, like, if Squid was captain, Squid, yeah, I actually think that you'll be put in a predicament because, when Dan is in his competitive spirits, and you being having to manage personalities, would have been interesting, right? Like, how do you think, like, if hypothetically then, if you were faced with adversity, like let's say you were 0-4 to start the season for some reason, what
Yeah.
do you think you would have, like? Let's assume that Dan was, like, getting really upset. Jeff was like probably feeling like useless at receiver position. You were like saying like, "Oh fuck," like, I just want to win, but like my team is not in
Yeah.
the right mindset here. Like, what would you have done?
Bro, that's one of the reasons why I picked up QB because I didn't want to be put in that shit, bro. I was like, I can't deal with this shit no more. I was like, I gotta take control of my own destiny, man. But like I think in that scenario, it's not a scenario anybody wants to be in. Like these grown ass men arguing and shit. And then I gotta come in and be like, oh, let's just, focus, whatever, whatever. But I think at the end of the day, like no matter how bad Dan gets, he'll like apologize on the side sometimes. Um, like that was you remember how you say he was yelling at Jeff
Yeah, 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 yeah,
for like he that was kind of an apology at the end,
yeah.
you know. So how I would have dealt with it is I might have QB'd. I don't know. I might have. I've been
Damn,
like, Dad, you gotta run it back.
damn, man, we missed out on what could have been this season, yo. We could just quit at QB.
I know. I know. This could have been exciting. Oh man. Well, at least we have things to look forward to next season now.
If I get fucked and don't get a QB, I might for real. I've been practicing.
Maybe you'll be baptized by the fire. Like, man, I love your sayings, Lems. Like some of the lines you say sometimes, just get me bricked, man. Just get me bricked.
Oh yeah.
Add me to the soundboard. Get me on there.
Yes,
Um,
sir. But yeah, yeah, I think just to finish off this topic here, I would agree with you, Squid, that although Dan may get competitive as he may sometimes, he has the good intentions. So, unfortunate things happen early in the season that caused him to step away, dealt with the stress, blah blah blah. I said to him the day he left that, like, I've always knew that he had good intentions for the league. And it sucks that he was unappreciated for his efforts, but I could say for at least myself that I'm glad he's back. I think he's only coming in to play league and and leave the drama off the server, right? So just play the game for the love of the game.
For sure. The community is definitely better to have um, Prism, all of TTT, and Dan.
mhm.
Yes, sir. All right, Squid. That was Lem's two-part question. Unless there was a third part, Lem, I don't fucking know.
No, no,
Uh,
that was it.
all right, Squid. You want to hit us up with any questions?
Well, here's a question for all the new players, I think, whether they think about it or not. So this Blitz, since it started back up, this is a generally a new community. Still trying to grow, still trying to keep engagement. You know, we got people like Intox and MA and Sin, Krusty and them all joining in, and
Hmm.
hopefully the community gets bigger. How much effort do you think if you were to put your top three priorities in terms of the community, what would it be? And I'll give some examples as well. Um, Growing the community, engaging the current community, putting on events and tourneys like RAR did back when he was the commissioner.
The floor is yours, Kamish.
So I think the point we're at right now is is pretty good. We got a point where we have a good active user base that can potentially field up to like 8 teams or so next season. The changes to the game that Money and Ultraviolet have made have been huge, and the stat keeping has added another
Yeah,
dimension of flavor to keep things like new and exciting and have people strive for certain things. But I think we do gotta um, promote more and try to recruit more. It seems like we're kind of getting like maybe a new person kind of every like 2 weeks or maybe every week, but they might not always stay. So we just got to keep on recruiting, and then like as we keep on getting more people in the server, it'll add that much more flavor, that many more different personalities. You have more, friendships grow uh, from more people in the community. We can even have like different tiers of leagues that we've kind of toyed around with ideas like a minor league, a major league. At right now, I think if we had a minor league and a major league, it's kind of like all the same players playing. There's not really like everyone's capable of playing in our quote unquote major league. I think it's we're in a good spot, but we need to I think improve on in terms of recruitment and get more people into our community.
Yeah.
yeah. Young better start paying Cutler for that training. Go ahead, Wayne.
I know.
I was just gonna say the same thing you said, which is like, we miss Cutler here. We miss him the last few weeks. You've probably seen a deep. Well, there's actually been a few new recruits I've seen. I seen one join this morning for being a prodigy, man. Like, this is the pipeline that Cutler started, and it's nice to see some people, nurture this pipeline, even with Cutler not being here with us at the moment. Um, but yeah, just to echo what some of them said, I think that we also have to be like kind of realistic, right? Like, StarCraft Brood War is an old game. How big this community will go is really depending on who's still playing this game, right?
Yeah.
And I think that we'll do everything we can to continue to be welcoming and encouraging to the newcomers, while at the same time satisfying the competitiveness of the veterans and the players that are trying to play competitively, right? I do think that there should be some type of minor league slash um, affiliation system that promotes the mentoring of younger players and just letting the younger players be in an environment to be set up for success, right? Because I do think that right now the environment that we have is not really generous to newcomers because Blitz is a three-on-three game, and I think most people would agree that if you have one newcomer join your team, and that's two of the three, right?
Yeah,
That it really impacts your team, and if you're trying to really win, they're more reluctant to use them unless they are absolutely shorthanded. And so
that's true.
I feel like we could probably set up some type of format to make it so that new players are at a more welcoming environment and not so competitiveness. But what that answer is TBD. But
Yeah,
yeah,
Honestly, when like some newcomers are more uh, I don't know if
higher
driven's the right
IQ.
word, but I'm going to use it for now. No, not even that. Not even higher IQ. It's like they have a certain drive to want to play. So, for instance, the second week Krusty was playing. he was just like plopping himself in the lobbies and not moving and just like forcing people to play with him. So like some people are like, oh, do I got to play with a new guy? I got to play with a new guy. But he might have had some rough games for a couple of games, a couple of days. But after he did that for like a week or whatever, now he's
Yeah.
like like a really good standing at it and a really good rookie. So like if
Mhm.
more people just like were comfortable playing, like they're just pubs. It's okay to get those pub losses if it means you get some play time and then they get to train.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Also,
I agree.
as somebody that's played in the back in the day when learning was not as friendly, like when you joined a lobby back in the day, like if you s- if you were not a recognizable name, you were pretty much booted from the game. It was a very gate kept kind of game, which is why we didn't have a very strong recruiting base, even though we had a lot of like usernames. Um,
Yeah.
but the truth was like it was really gate kept, and I think what's different about the modern era is that we're very much more welcoming. We let new quarterbacks play all the time, and that I think a lot of us are very, now that we're more mature, I think we do want to see the community grow. um, and it's just a balancing act of like which games should be competitive and which games we know is a learning curve for some. And I think for most, for at least 80% of us, I think a lot of us are very welcoming to the new players. And I think what separates this era versus the back versus back then as well is that we have YouTube videos of our games, our league games, so they could have something to benchmark themselves and see something that what works, how to play the game, what the type of routes and play calls are, and the commentary helps to facilitate some of the context of the game that's happening. And so as long as they have a basic understanding of American football, I think they would be able to learn much faster today than they would back then.
I think I'm gonna do now. I think I'm gonna have where I'll post on the Twitch and might need some help from someone that's good at video editing, whether it's like money or someone else. And like call like some really like simple plays like Tony, like wide receiver 90 up, and then like he does the route, but then on the mini map, someone edits in the route that he just ran. So I might do something like that.
That is a great idea, and I think Money will be more than open to it with his video editing team. Those are the visual effects that I think you're alluding to, right, Len?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea, and it's something that maybe you could walk Money through. But yeah, it sounds like a great idea. What about you, Squid? Like, as somebody, although they're the Ben Simmons rookie of our league. Um, when you were learning the game, what do you think would have helped you learn the game quicker and be up to par as quickly as you were?
Well, I think people are different learners, types of learners. Like the way that Ryan was trying to teach us, or teach me, because it was me, Ryan Kurt, was he was doing all these drawings and shit like that, and he was calling them foxtrot and all that shit. And I could barely remember what a 90 was or a post. Like, so I learned by like doing and seeing. So if there were videos, I think that would be pretty helpful. Like Lem was saying. Um, but yeah, I mean, I think if the community is big enough, we can get some of the newer players to train the new players too, because they might have a better way to teach because we're already so ingrained in our ways. But those are a couple of suggestions I got.
Yeah, maybe we should make a new role here for Squid, Lem. Call him the rookie recruiter.
No, hell
Ooh,
no. No,
oh, there he
I'm
is,
the
the rookie
worst. I
recruiter.
don't think I've recruited a single person.
All right,
I
fine.
think we got to get a
Sorry, not
young to
recruiting.
pay Cutler.
Sorry, not recruiting, but let's call you the Frosh guy. What's that Frosh guy's role where like they just like tell the newbies, the recruiters, like this is the dorm, this is the cafeteria, like
What's that called?
the the RA, what's it called? The resident.
Yeah,
oh yeah
RA.
yeah yeah. in Canada, at least during like this Frosh thing, they had the Frosh leader. But yeah, I heard of the resident guy as well. Uh,
No,
but,
I think Sin, Krusty, and MA are just so nice. Except for Sin's not nice to Kite though, but I think that's Kite's fault. But I think they're just so nice that they're a really good, probably welcoming committee, and for people to just reach out to them and ask them stuff without, any kind of repercussion, because they probably have more empathy being new. Um, so yeah, that's kind of what I think.
there it
And
is.
maybe I'll throw Intox in there too.
There it is, the
But
welcome committee. Nah, it can't be Intox because Intox will just tell them, "Hey, I'm the greatest." Just know that, and then that's it.
that's
Well,
right.
he will not educate anybody else on anything else.
That's
Just know that
right.
he's the greatest, and that's it. But there it is, the welcome committee. Maybe we'll set up a sign up form for anyone wishing to volunteer for that. All right, moving on. I guess I got a question. Speaking about the league competitiveness and balancing the act of like competitive and the OGs versus like the newcomers, is there any creative format slash idea that we have not discussed already for next season that could be worth entertaining? So, you know, we are, I think, trying to get, at least 7 to 8 teams for next season, but this will all be dependent on signups. But we haven't established a format. So, like, how did you guys, I guess, A, how did you guys feel about the auction draft? B, do you think there could have been a better format for balancing teams across the boards? And yeah, one of you guys feel free to take it away.
I think the auction idea was good. I think it yielded some relatively balanced teams. Obviously, we had some of the drama in the beginning of the season. I think I think like if we played like by the letter of the law, we probably should have had different uh team layouts throughout the season. So like how do I say this? So for your team, your both of your teams, Finn's World, he decided to bet 100 on Wayne. That should have really limited Finn's capability, and you guys ended up trading for a top tier rookie BlueSquid. That's almost like someone could think of that as unfair. I don't care. You guys like did what you needed to do, but if we were trying to do things by the letter of the law, like there's no reason why Squid should have really ended up on your team. That might be a spicy take, but it is what it is. And then
But no,
same
I
thing,
agree.
letter of the law. It's in our rules that if you quit, then you shouldn't be allowed to. You won't be allowed to play in the league game. But we're you know realistic people that knows shit happens. Dan quit. He came back, and we're accepting of that. So I think had we followed our rules, we would have had different balances throughout the different teams. So I think that could have been maybe something that we should have balanced a little bit better throughout this season. Um, we got a different sort of outcome that should have originally happened, but that's the way it goes. For potential improvements for the next season, um, I think we've done this in the past, but it's like a salary cap. You assign different people salary caps, which can be based on stats, and they can change from season to season, which could be kind of interesting. So if you
Yeah.
had like $100 to spend, and CJ being possibly the offensive player of the year, he might be $80. So you'd be wasting a lot of money getting someone like that. And then if he doesn't do as well next season, then he'd be less than $80.
Not wasting them, spending.
Wasting.
Oh yeah.
No, I'm just
Toxic.
kidding. Um, so I think that might be an interesting idea um, to do a salary cap type of draft. We've definitely done that in the past. I just don't remember how it went.
So I actually like what Len is saying because I'm not opposed to the serpentine draft, but it really does um, it ends up being pretty unfair. I like the auction draft too, but if a person just bets 100 and then gets Wayne and then they pick up a sub or whatever, and they run with it, um, then it ends up kind of almost being like a serpentine draft anyway, because the order in which people go is random. So I do like what Lem is saying here. Like you could probably base it off fantasy points. That might be the best way, and the league can evaluate it and make adjustments as they see fit. Um, and that way, we can still do serpentine draft or randomized draft, but it's a little bit more fair because people can't pick up two tier one, two tier whatever players just off luck. So yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, I think in order to make this kind of work, you need like you need to have a limit of like the capable players that you have. So like you can't have like we're making something up, Wayne, Smith, and Tony on a team,
Hmm.
Hmm.
something like that.
Yeah,
Right.
like that shouldn't theoretically be possible with that dollar value assigned to everybody. Like say you get like $10 or some shit like that, or 100 if we want to do it more fancy. Um, yeah, like what you're saying, it wouldn't happen. But would we also do that? The captains have their own value to balance out
Hmm.
the future drafts because Finn is way better than me, and if we're both captaining, then it's just like immediately that team is better than mine.
Yeah, because the
Um,
captain would be part of the salary cap. Like they have like they're still a
Hmm.
player, so
yeah,
they would still have some sort of salary cap associated with them.
Hmm.
yeah, that
Yeah,
would put more effort on player development then because you would just work with what you got. So I do like that for the league and for in terms of balance.
those are
Yeah,
interesting.
agreed.
I think it would just need to be more elaborate of the details, but I get what both you're saying. Um, Question, since we're putting the $100 controversy into place, what if it was Squid or Money bidding the $100 and one of those guys won instead of Finn? Would we still be having this conversation about like
I
the
think
imbalance?
I think you would be if you got managed to pick up or trade for like a tier one or one and a half player, you know, in the middle of the season.
Yeah, I mean, but then that's the what ifs scenarios. But fair enough. Yeah, I've said this before, but I was surprised to be drafted by Finn a little bit. I wasn't surprised about Irv, um, but for anyone that cares, if there is a whenever there's a next season, and assuming Finn and I are both participating, I don't think you'll see us together again. But anyways, I can only speak for that. But yeah, I think we could come up with more of a. I think, I think if we're in the mindset of trying to promote a more encouraging and more of a player development type of league, then we could have a format that is catered towards that. So whether we go with what one of you guys said, or we go with a program where one thing, like like I said, I haven't thought about this through, but let's assume that we have 18 an 8 team league, but four of them is quote unquote major, and the other four is quote unquote the minor league, where one is affiliated with a major team. And if the minor league sees success, the major teams also see success. And we could have it so that three out of the four major teams compete for a playoff spot, and then the fourth one doesn't make it, and then the final playoff spot could potentially go to the winner of the minor league division, right? And then they get their chance to play against the majors. Um, as an idea, I'm not saying that this is something that I have seriously considered, but I think I'm more looking for like curious formats that would cater towards player development more so than keeping the competitive spirit. Since I think a lot of us are more than happy to just play a more competitive, like a league full filled with new players, new because you just see like the game is just so much different with newer players. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
But anyways,
agreed.
I don't know. I'm not saying that this is the format or even what I would persuade people to go for. I'm just spitting out ideas, and I encourage people who are listening, and if any of you guys during the off season have something along those lines as well, because I think we're open to those ideas, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, I think it would be cool if everybody was playing in the main league and then there was a side minor league, not to like split it up, but just it'd
Hmm.
be like an overlap. And that way the new players and everybody could practice against each other and it wouldn't be as imbalanced or whatever. And they could get more playing time because right now like I'm playing a half, Intop's playing a half, Krusty playing a half. Um, so it might be good in that sense, but I don't think it should have any impact on the main league though. I think it's going too far.
Well, fair enough. We could keep exploring those ideas, but what if next season I get if I don't know if you guys saw CJ's Chat GPT teams, but send me Popgun, send me Krusty Kreme,
Hell
bro.
no.
I got my team for
Hell
next
no.
season. I will say I will give Popgun his first win of the fucking league, man.
I immediately thumbs down that bullshit, man. I don't know how if he did it based off the stats and he fed it into ChatGPT, but I think it was like Finn, Rar, and somebody
Turkey,
else on the
turkey.
same team. Turkey. I was like, what the fuck kind of team is this?
Yo,
How did he make this? And
yo,
he put me, Ocho,
and
and
Joe,
somebody
and Joe.
else. Yeah, and Joe. And
Joe.
and then it was Ducks QB, Kite, and Krusty or something like that. And
Yeah.
I'm like, who? I'm like, this is why you can't just go off stats. This is some.
Bro, the
This
chat GPT did Popcorn dirty, man. Kept him from another winning season, man. Put him at 0 and
God
3
damn.
as well. God damn.
God damn.
But no, okay. Popcorn, if you do play next season, I'll do my best to give you your first win. If I'm your opponent or your teammate, I will give you your first win. All right. Cool. All right, guys, we are currently at 1 hour and 22 minutes. So let's just,
Holy shit.
yeah, I know it's been a while. So I know we're having fun here, but let's wrap it up with maybe one more question per person. Cool? Um,
Yeah.
Lem, go for it if you have one.
All right, let me go back to my stuff. All right, so funny enough, we actually did one of my questions was how well do you think the fantasy points and stats align and stuff like that. So this question is not quite a what if, but it's how important for a team is overall skill level versus chemistry. So you might have a team that, like in my example earlier, I think was Tony, Wayne, and Smith. So like obviously those are a bunch of really good players. Is that is them being really good players more important than maybe the chemistry that Money, Popgun, and Wick have developed all season? So in your guys' opinion, how what's more important, or is there a balance between them?
I would weight chemistry a little bit higher, but it's situational. So if you guys didn't know, Irv and Tony on the same team is absolutely awful, and I don't know why, but they're both great players on any team. But you put them together, and it's almost always like a loss. So I definitely think chemistry is underrated by many in the community.
Uh,
Gotcha. Wayne, what do you think?
I think I do think that skill will overcome. like I wouldn't say this about everything, but specifically blitz, I would say that skill and competency will will probably weigh more in our game of blitz. Um, honestly, but then when you get to a team filled with competency versus competency, then it'll be about chemistry. And so, using Squid's example, I would I would imagine that, Irv, Tony, and whoever the third is, despite the lack of chem, versus another team of, I don't want to throw anyone under the bus, but let's just say like a subpar team. You know what I mean? Like what's that category? Squid. Since I know you love that shit. The
The
P12,
Jack Daniels
the Jack
and
Daniels. There you
the
go. Jack Daniels
and the
was
beer
the
team.
Jack
Yeah.
Daniels was the third quad. Okay, you know what? Let's do a mixture of Cutler, like whoever Cutler has the most chem with, right? From the
Yeah.
Jameson. I'm gonna give the edge to Irv and Tony and their third. You know what I mean? Um,
You would think.
yeah, you would think. Um, so I think skill and competency will go so far, and then only when you reach the Jamesons and P12s, then maybe chemistry starts weighing more than skill, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I
can
can
I
see
can see that. And like especially when you get to the higher tier of the game, like it's knowing when someone's gonna switch with you on defense, or when like
Yeah.
someone likes to get deeper in general more, or when someone from offense, when someone likes to cut their 90s, like if they're doing a double move 90, or if you tell them to do a post and they decide to do like a double post instead. It's just kind of like being able to read each other and know when that's happening. Some people always run the perfect crisp route. Some people will run a 10-yard 90 as a 15-yard cutback. Cough, cough, Irv, cough. But so you guys got to be prepared for what your teammates are doing when that's happening.
Oh my God. Irv's never ran a cutback in his life.
No, definitely not.
Damn, y'all doing Irv dirty.
All right.
That's all I had for my questions.
All right, Squid, hit us up with your final question of the day.
So I don't really have a question per se. It's just a statement. I think that for Lem's idea for the dollar amount for the captains and the players, I think we use the fantasy points as the weight, and then we have employ the serial lister to brush it up
Hmm.
before it comes back to the commission, whoever it is out there. But
Yeah, we gotta employ the serialist or whoever they may be.
whoever that is. But yeah, go ahead, Lane.
Let me think. I wasn't expecting my turn to be so quick, but hmm, what is a
It's been a
great
goddamn
question?
hour and a half.
Yeah,
You guys can always chop it up, cut it.
nah, man, we do things here raw, Squid.
Oh God.
All right. Hmm. Since Squid is our guest, yeah, let's do this. Since Squid is our guest, and let's say Squid, you draft two. Let's put you on the spot. Let's say you draft two,
Oh
two.
God.
Let's say you draft two Jameson players. Who are you taking? And then I'll follow up.
Jameson.
Then I'll follow up with another question. But yes, who would you draft amongst the Jameson players?
I need to pull up the media post.
All right.
I don't remember who's in Jameson. Hold on. I'm scrolling up.
I believe off the top of
Oh,
my head would be Turk, Wick, Ocho, Dux. Who else
okay,
can
I
I
found
remember?
it.
Maybe Lem, Tony.
If I'm drafting two players, shit, off Jameson
Damn right. It could
and
be.
my QB or
Yeah, you
what?
know what?
Yeah, you're QB.
I'll say you. Yeah, you're QB, but Jameson and under, or whatever under means.
Jameson and under. Uh, well, I can't disrespect the serial lister like that. I gotta stick to Jameson.
There you go. All right.
I
So
think I would pick. I think I would pick Wick and Duxer,
uh,
just because I never get to be on either of their teams.
it's interesting. So because both of them can play both wide receiver and running back, which one is which?
Duxer's running back.
Okay. All right. So, um, That's your team, okay, Squid? Now let's say you were playing this season. Uh, hmm, is this season a good comparison? Yeah, you know what? Fuck it. You're playing this season with that team, okay?
Mhm.
Uh, how do you think you guys would have done with the skill set that you have today, like being the QB that you are today, and knowing that the players that both Wick and Ducks can be? How what kind of record do you think you would have this season? And and yeah, just your general thoughts about how your season would have went with those two guys.
Man, well, I'm not no proper 12, you know what I mean? So I think we might make it to 500, maybe a little bit below, maybe like 400,
All right,
optimistically.
all right. So you'll be above 500 team, you're saying you'll keep the games competitively. So we'll put you in the same quote unquote category as the between the Monopoly men to the spicy eggs, right? Because I think Lem,
I think so.
you guys were what 2 and 5 or whatever it was.
Two.
All right, so we'll put you around that category, Squid. And then if you were playing the team of Cutler quarterback, Ocho wide receiver, and Prism running back, how do you think that game would have went?
Colors quarterback.
Damn right. He's the week 3 TTT team we saw.
So Dux is playing against himself?
No, the Ducks is playing against Ocho and Pris.
Oh, shit. Um, man, I don't know. I think we might win, bro. If Prism isn't telling color anything, we win.
All right, I like that.
It looks like we got to schedule it.
Lem, what are your thoughts on that? But yeah, it could very much
Run
be
it
a
up.
it could be very much the next showdown we will see.
Yeah, no, I think it's honestly a toss up. I think it could come down to overtime type of game or like a last second field goal. I think it's really in anyone's hands there.
You know, Squid, I would love to see this matchup, and if this were to happen, I would love for you to talk your shit to Finn afterwards.
Well, I'm saying if Prism doesn't talk to Cutler and help him with plays, because then we could get more ants, give me more chances
Hey,
to score.
hey,
But
maybe Prism helps Color, but maybe Ducks and Wick help you out, right? So it's all fair game. Um, but yeah, I love that mentality. That you would, potentially win that game. And I do agree. I think it'll be a toss up. I think it'll be a very entertaining game for me. Um, and yeah, I hope to see you potentially play quarterback in one of the leagues, upcoming leagues, whether it be next season or later on. But I think Lem and I could probably Lem may agree with me here that I think you are definitely knocking on the door of becoming the next uh, QB from somebody that is learning as quickly as you have been.
Yes,
yes,
sir.
sir. I think my last question is just a fun one before we leave because I get to ask one.
All right.
If you were to chill in real life with three people in Blitz, who you pick? This is gonna be might have to drop this in the locker room chat as a poll.
Well,
Three
damn,
Ooh.
people. Who would you chill with in real life? And
Lem, I'll
yeah,
let you
just
start
three
things
people.
off, Lem.
Hmm. You
This
know,
is
for diversity of opinion and really sharing, uh, let's say growth by diversity, I would probably have to choose Jeff, Prism, and Dan. So
You
it'd
go with
be
higher
like,
security?
and I think it'd be, I think there would be catharsis. I think there would be learning. I think we'd learn a lot about each other. Um, I mean, after a couple drinks, the veil kind of comes down a little bit, and you get more on the same page about things. So I think it'd be a really good opportunity, um, for us to just get to know each other better. So
For
that's for probably um, a growthful opportunity. But for um, just straight chilling, I would love to chill with my eggs, my spicy
There we
eggs,
go.
and get that
That's that.
like end of season uh, celebratory drink that we deserve. So
Yeah.
me, Ma, Joe, Tony, Smith, that'd be a nice scenario. I
That's
can't just choose three.
yeah. That's a tough one. And you are a big guy, Lem. You're a lineman, so you could break up that fight whenever you want. You know what I'm
Oh, of
saying?
course,
So
of
I'm not
course.
worried about you. I'm not worried about you. All right, Wayne, what you got?
Man, hearing Lem's answer makes me want to ask you something, Squid. When you asked this question, did you have the three people, in a social setting like all together, or more intimate? Because when I heard Lem's answer, at first I thought, maybe it's more intimate, but
Yeah, I
then,
thought we're chilling. No, interpret it how you want, bro. Ain't
all
no
right,
wrong answer.
all right. So, just in general, I don't know if this would be individual or in a group setting, but I would have to start things off with probably Turk because I haven't met him yet, but I've been playing games with him since forever now. Even before we came back to StarCraft here, I was playing this Hacksball soccer game years ago with him as well. So yeah, I would love to meet the guy. He's a good online pal of mine. So um, he gets the number one nod. Number two would be my OG Smith, obviously. Smith is the reason
Hmm.
why I am back here playing the game with you guys. Because without him, I would never have known this server, this community has been put back together. So Smith is a great guy, very chill dude, and I think him and I get along from. We knew this like a long time ago because he was my quarterback back way back then as well. So I always knew we would get along. So he'll be my number two pick. My third pick is really a toss up because it could be anyone. Like, it could be Lem, it could be Squid. You seem like a very chill and positive guy, and I love to surround myself with guys like yourself. Um, who else would fit in this category? Finn, although we don't have that, even though I just said positivity, Finn and I have a negative chemistry going on, um, but it's all games with Finn as well. So Irv, I can't forget Irv. Irv is a very chill dude. Um, Probably a little bit too high for me sometimes, but those are the guys that come to my mind. I'm sure can't forget Sheep and Wick, the Canadians and
Yeah,
Ocho, but
that's fact.
yeah, I lean towards guys that I mentioned. Yeah.
All
How
right,
about you,
Squid, how
Squid?
about you?
Oh shit. Well, I think I have a bro. I wish it could be a top 10 because there's really a lot of people. I think, but
You said three.
Smith. So yeah, Smith. I almost met up with in real life, but he moved to Myrtle Beach because my friend had a pop up out in Atlanta, and I was about to come down there. So definitely Smith. Wick. I think I just spent a lot of time with Wick already. So probably Wick. Um, Wayne, probably, because Wayne knows a lot about me that I shared when I was going through that tough time personally, and I was like, I don't want to, I don't know if I'm gonna come back. So even if Jeff does trade me to your team or whatever, I don't even know if I'll play. So probably Wayne. I love,
Well,
I
you're also
love me
both
some.
Chinese.
Don't tell,
Oh
no, no, no,
yeah,
no,
no, I'm
don't.
Taiwanese,
Yeah,
man.
don't say that to Squid,
You ain't
bros.
calling me that. You calling it Chinese? Who?
Squid just
Oh,
took
sorry
offense
about
to
that.
that. All right, anyways, ignore Lem.
Lev out here fucking up my vibe. I was gonna say Lev too. That's why I can't invite Lev, bro. I do fuck with Lev though. I fuck with Irv too, but he vote for Trump. I don't know if I can vibe with him. I'm just playing Irv. I can I'll hang out with Irv. I really like Ducks, man. Ducks has like such a good vibe to him. He a little troll, um, a
You ever
funny
watch
guy.
you ever watch the That 70s Show, Squid?
Yeah.
You guys would be that basement, you know, that basement circle where you guys go camera to camera guy. It'll be
Yeah.
you, Ocho, Dux, and Priz, man. That's the four guys.
Me, Ocho, Texan Frizz.
Yeah.
I just like it's just I think it's just fun to it's like almost like an escape from reality into the shit they be saying. It's so off the wall sometimes, and you just gotta it's a good escape. But damn, who else gets some honorable mentions?
I
I
forgot
think
I forgot my part, money. Sorry, Squid. That's my last
oh
interruption.
yeah,
Yeah, I
money.
forgot money was on my
Yeah,
list too.
money's up there for sure. Um, I feel like I could hang out with Dan, but goddamn Dan, sometimes I can hang out with Dan. Who who? Oh my God, I can't. I just
You
forgot
got a
who else.
big community. It's kind of hard.
Yeah,
I know it's hard to shout everybody out. I love Mutan. This dude, he's such a cute guy, very endearing.
bro, just say the
You know,
Jameson. Just say the Jameson squad,
no
bro.
homo. And Jeff, I might hang out with, man.
Jeff, yeah.
You know, but I don't know. I don't really. I feel like I don't know Jeff's real personality. I hear so many conflicting things about Jeff. I want to believe he's a nice guy. Um, I definitely can't have him around with any of my black friends in Detroit.
Damn.
But in another setting, I could enjoy Jeff. He won't get robbed or anything like that. I got you, Jeff. I'll make sure it doesn't happen.
Oh my God.
Well, we either made a lot more, we got a lot closer to the guys we just shouted out, or we created a lot of enemies from what we just said.
Shout out to Krusty too. He's a chill dude.
Yeah. I give a shout out to Sin. Sin is a
Oh
funny new
yes.
guy.
I think me and Finn are still defeated on a team together.
Defeated. All right. Well,
Well,
if there's nothing else, guys, any last words from you guys before we wrap it up?
I'm good.
This is a fun time. I'm happy to have Squid on board with this podcast. Sorry if my audio quality wasn't as good because I don't have my headphones. I'm fucking tired.
Hmm. Are you gonna
Yes, sir.
are you gonna go to sleep, or are you gonna do something else after this,
I'm
Lam?
not gonna go to bed now since it's 3:30.
True. All right, so let's just wrap it up then, guys. It's been fun. This was another great episode, and yeah, thank you, Squid, for joining us. You brought a lot of interesting questions and topics, and shouted out a lot of different people for the good or the worse. It'll be interesting to see how it'll be received. Yeah, all in all, it was a great time here. I hope you had as much fun as Lem and I did, probably, Squid. And yeah, I hope maybe we'll see you again in one of these upcoming episodes as well. But until then, thanks everyone for listening. And this is episode 2 of the Blitz podcast until we figure out the real name. Signing off,
Yeah.
guys. GG's.
All right. See
GG's.
ya.